December 16th, 1944. The Ardennes Forest. Quiet, snow-heavy, breathing in winter stillness. Then, without warning, the sky trembled. The first German artillery rounds of Hitler's last great gamble, the Ardennes offensive, tore through the trees. Allied lines buckled under shock and disbelief. But hidden inside this chaos was something stranger, quieter, and far more unsettling. A convoy rolled down the icy road near Malmedy, headlights dim beneath the fog. Jeeps, fuel trucks, scattered armoured cars, all bearing American markings. At first glance, just another movement of tired GIs repositioning for defence. But if you looked closely, too closely, something was wrong. The radio chatter felt a beat off. The helmets sat just a little too high. And the faces, sharp cheekbones, clipped words, felt unfamiliar. They were not Americans. They were Germans. Men of Operation Greif. Elite commandos under Otto Skorzeny, master of deception. Clothed in captured US uniforms, driving seized vehicles, carrying forged papers, mimicking American slang learned hurriedly from movies and interrogations. Their mission was simple in design, devastating in intent. Sow panic. Misdirect convoys, cut wires, switch signposts, become shadows inside Allied lines. And panic came quickly. At roadblocks across the front, military police felt suspicion rise like a knife at their spine. Questions became weapons. What's the capital of Illinois? What team did Babe Ruth play for before the Yankees? What's the colour of the top light on a traffic signal? Sometimes the infiltrators answered correctly. Sometimes hesitation sealed their fate. And sometimes innocent American soldiers, exhausted and confused, answered wrong, hauled away at gunpoint until someone sorted the truth through clenched teeth and frantic paperwork. Trust. Already fragile in war, shattered like thin ice. Yet even deception has limits. Some German commandos lacked the subtleties, their English stiff, their confidence brittle. And as their ruse cracked, MPs tightened checkpoints to steel. Patrols doubled, roadblocks layered like fortresses of suspicion. Skorzeny's wolves still managed mischief. A bridge delayed here, a column misdirected there. But the decisive blow never came. And slowly, almost reluctantly, the truth surfaced among Allied ranks. Infiltration had happened, yes, but the army still held the line. The Ardennes would become a graveyard of frozen stories, tanks locked in icy ambushes, foxholes carved in snow and desperation, and brave men fighting toward a fate history has already written. The bulge would bend the Allied line, but never break it. Operation Greif faded, not as a triumph of sabotage, but as a chilling reminder. In war, sometimes the deadliest enemy is the one who walks beside you dressed as a friend. And in the Ardennes winter of 1944, the price of every handshake, every password, every shared cigarette was trust paid in blood. July 1942. The Arctic Circle. A world of ice, silence, and endless pale daylight where the sun refused to sink beneath the horizon. Across that frozen kingdom steamed Convoy PQ-17. 34 merchant ships, escorted by destroyers, corvettes, minesweepers, and submarines. Their holds were swollen with steel lifelines for a desperate ally. Trucks, tanks, fighters, food, ammunition. Supplies meant to keep the Soviet front from breaking under the hammer of the Wehrmacht. Every man aboard knew the stakes. Every man aboard knew the danger. The Arctic route was a graveyard waiting to be filled. U-boats prowled like wolves. Luftwaffe bombers lurked above the clouds of eternal day. And rumours whispered through steel corridors of a monster at sea. The German battleship Tirpitz, the lonely Queen of the North, capable of turning a convoy into smoke and bones. The convoy pressed on, engines chugging, ice shearing off bows like glass. British and American sailors traded uneasy jokes, breath freezing at their lips, rifles slung over parkas stiff with frost. Then the order came. A radio crackle, sharp and unreal. Convoy is to scatter. No warning, no explanation, just obey. Commanders blinked, stunned in the pale Arctic sun. Escort ships turned, sails heavy with disbelief, ordered to withdraw and seek battle with a phantom threat. The merchant ships, alone, vulnerable, fanned out into the wilderness of white ocean like startled birds. Panic whispered through metallic passageways. Men stood on decks, scanning the horizon, not for icebergs, but for death. And death came. First, the gull-like shapes on the horizon, German bombers diving out of the eternal day, engines howling, bomb doors yawning open like hungry maws. Then the periscopic glint of U-boats sliding through the frigid deep, hunting one ship at a time like a predator savouring its kill. Ships burned until the sea steamed. Steel twisted like wax. Men flailed in water cold enough to kill in minutes, their screams swallowed by the ruthless silence of the Arctic wind. Some rafts drifted for days, men delirious, faces cracked by salt and cold, praying to any god left listening. Some ships limped to Soviet ports, battered but alive. Most never made it. More than 24 vessels lost. Thousands of vehicles, weapons, and hopes sank to the graveyard beneath the ice. The Tirpitz, the terror that triggered the order, never even appeared. She was nothing but a shadow on British intelligence reports, a rumour with hull and guns, and yet powerful enough to doom a fleet without firing a shot. Convoy PQ-17 became a legend whispered in wardrooms and Arctic taverns, not of cowardice nor incompetence alone, but of the cruel truth of war. Sometimes fear commands greater devastation than any enemy weapon. Sometimes ghosts sink ships. And in the endless daylight of the Arctic, where night never came to comfort the dying, history learned a harsh lesson. The sea does not forgive, and war does not always kill with bullets. September 17th, 1944. Holland. Windmill country, farmland rolling under crisp northern skies, canals glinting like silver threads through sleepy towns. At dawn, a new thunder rolled across Dutch fields. Not storms, not artillery, but wings. Hundreds of Allied transport planes, C-47s in tight, endless formation, sweeping low like whispering ghosts across the morning sun. Their cargo, parachutes packed with young men, fear, hope, and the weight of a continent's fate. Operation Market Garden, The bold, desperate gamble to break into Germany and end the war by Christmas. The plan: parachute infantry seize a chain of bridges deep behind enemy lines. Armoured divisions rush through to link up. It would be daring, audacious, and for one place, tragic. Arnhem. British paratroopers of the 1st Airborne Division descended like dandelion seeds over the Dutch countryside. Civilians, pale with hope after years of occupation, waved, cried, prayed. This was liberation falling from the sky. Major John Frost and his men moved fast, hearts pounding, boots slapping cobblestones, weaving through narrow streets. And there it stood, the Arnhem Road Bridge, steel, proud, the key to ending the war early. They seized it. One bridge down, victory, within reach. Then the horizon growled. German armour, tanks with iron jaws, SS divisions, battle-hardened wolves from the Eastern Front, resting in Holland by pure twist of fate. By nightfall, Frost's men were surrounded, a tight knot of paratroopers dug into houses and rubble around the bridge, a tiny island of defiance against an ocean of steel. Street to street, window to window they fought. Bricks shattered, windows burst, smoke crawled like wounded breath. Machine gun fire rattled through dining rooms once filled with laughter. Whole houses burned until only chimneys stood, skeletal fingers reaching for a sky now black with war. A radio crackled. Out of ammunition. God save the King. Days passed. Reinforcements never broke through. The Rhine stayed uncrossed. Frost's last pockets of fighters, gaunt and bleeding, held until they could hold no more. When captured, their German interrogator spoke quietly, almost respectfully. "You are the lions of Arnhem." But no roar could change fate. Market Garden failed. The war ground on. Winter would still come, and with it the Battle of the Bulge. Blood, ice, sacrifice renewed. Yet in Arnhem, a bridge was held longer than logic allowed, longer than hope promised, longer than war could justify. And in the ruins of a Dutch river town, the world learned once again, bravery cannot always bend fate, but sometimes it shines brightest against the cold certainty of failure.